Hi. To begin with, I'm really grateful to each one of you who has chosen to follow my journey so far. So many of you have been messaging me over the years about your interest in hooping. I tried my best to guide you about which hoop to buy for your level and purpose, putting you through to the hoop manufacturers, even shared with you some tutorials of hoopers across the globe that helped me as I figured out my journey. But yes, I agree, it may not be anything compared to what you expected of me as a professional hula hoop artist. I'd even given thought of pushing myself to take this COVID 19 lockdown scenario as an opportunity to do those tutorials I'd always put off. But I listened to my heart and it said, hey, you don't have to race against time. You do what your inner voice tells you. Almost everything on the planet is at a standstill, and it makes me wonder if my profession and passion is even sustainable in the bigger picture. Please allow me this time to introspect and continue to share my journey in the way my heart feels so. I don't just see myself as a hula hoop artist or a hula hoop performer or teacher alone. If the world no longer exists and humanity is wiped off the face of planet Earth, my skills or my tutorials would mean nothing. I've wanted to express this for the longest time, and only now do I find the courage to do so. It has been the era of the internet, and a simple search on how to hoop will lead you to an endless portal of possibilities online. Tutorials from not one, not two, but countless hoopers across the globe. I keep sharing and tagging on my social media accounts as well from time to time. I'm not really sure how many of you all see it, but I'll continue to do so. I find that with the tremendous amount of information already out there, you can access anything you wish to right on your fingertips. But even with all the information, I also find it crucial that one has to find the enthusiasm to get up and do something for themselves without being told to do so, which is a crucial part of working on any skill, not just hula hooping. I don't know how many of you all know this, but that's exactly how I learned. By myself, alone, wherever I was, in my free time, amidst whatever I was doing at the time. Discovering, trying, failing, learning from my own experience. There was no traveling involved, no money involved even. And not just during the 21-day quarantine, but a vast majority of the years I spent growing up. The internet may have been the biggest tool for me to have learned everything my life depends upon today. Sharing this with you, I may lose business as one generally fears, or my students who I've been teaching so far may not count on me anymore. But really, I don't mind risking it all. Yes, sharing the limited of what I recall from teaching myself over the years had just started to pay my bills. And I'm so grateful to everyone who gave me that opportunity to translate my passion into my full time profession. Having experienced everything right from scratch, from no shows at all to performing all over India, exploring hoop dance and musicals that took me abroad, using hoops in television commercials, doing the best of what I could in reality TV opportunities, using my hoop acts to convey some messages I couldn't communicate otherwise. I just flowed with it one step at a time, one opportunity at a time. I now look back and ask myself, where do I even belong? What do I even want to do with all this? I don't want to encourage you to lose weight with my hoop classes. I don't want you to push yourself and perform 10,000 tricks in a minute to impress anyone. I don't know if I should be selling this as a business saying you'll burn calories with it. I honestly never had a particular goal in my mind. My journey was a never ending list of teeny tiny goals that I decided to work hard on at that moment. But what is my purpose even? Yes, I shall be hooping till my last breath. But look at the current scenario. Can we even be sure of anything? Few weeks ago, planes were flying back and forth, people were going to work, weddings, events, and whatnot. Businesses were running, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, a full stop. If we can learn anything from what nature teaches us, is that if we try to rush and do too much in too little time, not keeping in mind the very nature of everything taking its own time, it wouldn't lead to the most favorable outcome. So I don't want to lose my peace over not being able to do something that may have been expected of me. With the ongoing coronavirus pandemic scenario, all the classes I taught for my basic livelihood have been cancelled long before the lockdown was even imposed. The standstill does not mean we have to stop because I'm no longer available. But it also doesn't mean you have to be forced to keep going. If the planet has made us pause, we can pause to introspect as well. And that is precisely why I don't have live classes, tutorials, Zoom sessions, or any one of those as of yet, because I'm going to spend that time sharing a whole bunch of what I wanted to do. I'd always put all of that on hold because of something or the other. Now is the time for me to look back at it. To my regular students at Dance Fun and Kinaz Dance of Soul, Don't stop practicing the skills that you learned from me. To those of you who never made it to my classes, hope this video motivated you a little bit in your journey. Like Deanne Love says, hooping is not cancelled. You don't have to cancel your flow because of the panic, chaos, standstill, and uncertainty. She has some incredibly helpful tutorials that have inspired a huge part of my hoop journey. You can find them on her Hoop Lovers YouTube channel. If you look online, there are infinite sources to learn from. It only takes a click of a button and the will. With all the existing tutorials on social media platforms, I honestly confess that I hardly felt I'd be good enough to make my own. I'm gonna let that sink in and only take this forward when I feel for it with utmost determination. The future will always be a mystery, as unpredictable as ever, despite countless plans and itineraries we make. If you love to do something, nothing can derail that. It will be a few classes missed, few months of rent being at stake, but if you love to hoop regardless of anything, one can keep going and find their way through all of this, while also keeping the bigger picture in mind. And no, you don't need me to practice what you already know. I pushed you when and where I could. Now it's up to you. So much freedom in something like hooping. No limitations. Only that you require a hoop, yes. Which also brings me back to sustainability. I would have to start from scratch if I were to promote anything, now also keeping in mind the planet's health. So those of you who already have a hoop may have a slight advantage over those just coming across this. You don't have to limit yourself to 1 hour of hooping per day, or also don't have to stop yourself if you feel like hooping all day every day. It's totally up to you. As for me, I've learned in all kinds of hard ways that if I don't take care of myself and the planet around me in any little way that I can, nothing I do will matter. I shall only have to stop everything to recuperate, almost like a lockdown. So I'm going to be focusing on just eating well and on time, sleeping, working on post-injury strengthening, working on my immunity, running errands at home, mending some of my lifestyle choices, and not panicking, because every now and then I wonder, what if this is the end of the world and not just a wake-up call? I tell myself it's okay what you've done so far. It's okay if you've made mistakes. It's perfectly okay if you haven't taken care of yourself enough, or kept a professional goal in mind and ignored your inner voice altogether. It's okay if you rushed, or you prioritized very temporary things over the overall well-being to fit into the known. You didn't know any better. Now is your time to look outside the box, or outside the hoop rather. Forgive yourself for things that really weren't in your hands. Fix your habits with constant intention every day and move ahead at your own pace. In the meanwhile, I know each of you listening to this would have also evolved and figured yourself out. All that you see in this video is what I did for years as a beginner hooper. It was so sporadic for me, absolutely no regular training. Taking pace and slowing down as per the flow of my life. I'd just hoop in my free time and fall in love with all these basics that I learned from tutorials I happened to find online. I'd pull off entire hoop acts, hooping on the waist, neck, palm and knees, and absolutely loved vortexes and throwing my hands in the air with the neck hooping. The first few moves I picked up were the snare, the barrel roll, basics of on-body and off-body hooping, and transitions between both, some palm spin variations and jump throughs, moving onto a whole universe full of tricks and techniques with time. Single hooping, twin hooping, multi-hooping, so many possibilities that helped in creating a little world of my own. I started with a huge hoop and stuck with it for the longest time ever, gradually getting more comfortable with smaller, lighter hoops. The bigger the hoop, the slower it spins around your body, so it's perfect for on-body hooping for beginners. The heavier hoops are generally used more for fitness and weight loss purposes. The weight helps you keep it going for longer than a lighter, smaller diameter hoop that would immediately crash to the ground unless you have years of experience. The smaller, lighter hoops are quite tricky to work with as they are feather light and difficult to maneuver as a beginner. Again, one size doesn't fit all, and you may find that you began your journey right at the opposite end of the hoop size spectrum. There is no one right or one wrong size in hooping. I hope any of this helps you, whether in your hoop journey or generally in where you are placed in your life right now. Don't hesitate to DM me if you have any queries, and I'll try my best to help you out. I hope you're safe at home, introspecting and figuring out how to make amends to your lifestyle to suit not only yourself, but humanity and the planet's well-being. Thank you so much for surviving 10 minutes of my verbal diarrhea. Happy hooping!